Infinite Dreams Gaming was at Gen Con this year with their brand new Warehouse 13, the board game based off of the sci-fi television show, which I have never watched. But you have.
I have.
All of it, and you're a big fan. So you went to play this Warehouse 13, the board game, and I think you liked it, but I'm curious to hear exactly how it played, and if you think a non-fan could get into it.
All right, so I went into this very skeptical. I mean, I feel a lot of times when it comes to a copyright property, I feel like a lot of people just paste it on something and throw it out, And they did not do that with this. They put in the work. And it was an amazing game. The way that it works, in essence, is it's a traitor-based game. If you don't know the premise of the show, the characters all work for something known as the Warehouse 13. There were previous warehouses. The current one's Warehouse 13.
All right.
They collect artifacts. These are usually significant items to people that have some backstory of why they work that way. They usually are related. So, like if Poe's pen writes, bad things happen when you write down with the Poe's pen.
Okay.
And usually bad things can happen. So you're trying to collect them all. But there were certain villains throughout all the story, and someone is secretly working for them. So your goal is to see, both sides are trying to capture 3 artifacts. And if the enemy captures 3 artifacts, then he reveals sort of the season finale. They actually do go call things episodes and seasons,
okay.
Which I actually really like because they made it a TV show. And your goal is to make sure you never see that. So the way the game works is you will choose one of the 6 characters they have available. So it goes up to 6. And you have 4 abilities with each character. 4 cards. One's a weakness, I'd say. One is a regular bonus you have. One's a once per episode, so once per round. And one is a once per season, once per game.
Okay.
And as you can guess, certain ones are stronger than others. I played as Micah and was not the traitor. You can look up we'll put up some photos as I showed.
Presumably, like Battlestar, it's not you're not tied to like what the show's canon is for who's a traitor or anything like that.
Oh no, not at all. In fact, I mean, you can watch the
No
show.
spoilers.
But each of the characters are based heavily and make sense of the characters. Like Battlestar, there's 4 cards that are your traits. There is lore, technology, logic, and intuition. And for example, my character, Micah, is one of the 2 main characters. Doesn't trust instinct at all. It's always got to be by the book. So I cannot draw intuition cards.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the other character, Peter, he only draws that. That's all because he's all about his gut feeling. That's how he works.
Okay. Cool.
And so you can draw these cards, and they have different builds. And just like in Battlestar, honestly, I'm going to be saying that a lot. This game is a lot like Battlestar. So if you like Battlestar and can't find it now, look up for this. So you can either use it to grab dice, which I'll explain a little later, or for their ability. So just like Battlestar, it's the number or the ability. So on your turn, you have the option of an action. You get an action, and you can you're all start in the warehouse, and you can do stuff in the warehouse, or you can go out to the field where the artifact is.
Okay.
Now, the artifact you'll roll these colored dice of the 4 colors, and you'll put some on the artifact depending on the location. And they did a little fun with it, like Berlin requires a yellow die, a red die, and a black die on it.
Oh.
Black is the wild. There is 1 wild die, so which is nice.
Okay.
And then you put a bunch in the sort of the clue, the investigation section.
Okay.
And the warehouse people can take die from the investigation section, but to get the ones on the clue, on the artifact, you have to be there. And pretty much you're following the clues to try to get the item. And so on your turn, first you do an action before you can get an item. And usually it's either playing a card or leaving stress, which you will gain stress each round. And if the stress pile goes empty, you lose the game. Or the agents lose the game, the traitor loses,
Right.
wins. So there's another way the traitor can, by stressing everyone out a lot.
Can I
literally
ask, is there ever a time when the traitor reveals themselves?
There actually is, but unlike Battlestar, it's not nearly as, okay, this will be my reveal. There's like very specific instances.
Okay.
So it's you got to play much more to your, like the hidden role is much more important.
Okay.
And what happens is there's a traitor deck, and each turn you'll also read one of these cards. Usually like everyone has to discard a card or roll these dice, whatever. But when you become the traitor, you can control that. So you control all the bad things happening.
Okay.
As per Cylon duty.
Standard.
And once you pull all the dice off the artifact, though, it reveals, and it'll tell you you'll need 5 red dice, or 5 red of the instant intuition, 3 logic, maybe something else. And that's usually doesn't reveal until everyone's picked their dice. So on your turn, then, you'll have little shields.
Okay.
You'll roll the dice you have, roll them, look at them, choose one of them, and hide it in a little warehouse you have, and put it in front of your thing, and reveal it. Now, you may not just roll bad, or if you're the trader, you can be like, I didn't get anything good this round. And you put it towards the artifact. And you're trying to break just that 4 and that 3 there and 2 there. And of course, like my character had the ability to be like, all right, if this dice doesn't work for this, I can re-roll if it's of this certain symbol. So there are ways to mess around. There's plenty of ways to mess around with the dice. That is really helpful. So it's not just a base your luck on die rolls. And it became a really fun intuition of like, all right, who's the traitor, who's not, trying to find those little things. Of course, this is everyone's first time, so it was much harder for the traitor, as you know, in many traitor games. But it's still, there's a lot of times, like I screwed up a move, and I had to make us lose a die. So I really looked like a traitor then. So there's a lot of mechanics that help the traitor hide. Like you may actually not be the traitor and just screw up on something like that. But it looks pretty sneaky.
Do you know if you might not, if they scale it for number of players, like how much you need? I assume they must.
Yes, because like the stress deck fairy I mentioned, if it runs out, so if you have more players, they add more in there. Okay. And the stress cards act like wounds from Legendary. They take up cards in your hand. And another thing I love, your hand size, the stress like number of cards here, and a lot of the decks is 13.
Okay.
Yeah, they went very well with the theme. And of course, the artifacts are really cool. They're all from the show. You know, a lot of the pictures and stuff. Really like, and of course, there's one artifact. There's first one to 3, but there's 5 artifacts in there, in the pile. So someone wins eventually.
Okay.
But one of them is the sort of the supervillain artifact. It's like the artifact the villain really wants. So it's the one like when you see that, you're like, oh, we better get that. And that brings up the other thing. As in the show, all agents have to go in pairs. Because, to help each other and make sure no one goes overpowered.
Buddy system.
If someone is over by the artifact and they're the traitor and they're alone, they can just take the artifact.
Okay. Wow. So there's a little bit of like a closed room murder mystery.
Yeah, like you never want to leave anyone alone.
That's awesome. I mean, I love that. I love the concept of dice as your sort of resource pool and hiding them and revealing them. That sounds really fun.
And what that becomes is both sides, like both traitor or want a lot of dice, because what happens is, let's say you're trying to capture an artifact that needs like 3 logic and 3 intuition. And if I only have 1 die, which I did on the last round, I roll once and I'm done. I'm only going to see 1 die face to be able to possibly put in there. Okay. If I have 4, I roll 4, I see 4, put 1 in. I roll again, I roll 3, I see 3. So you can really plan out and you have a lot more chances to make sure you get the good stuff in there.
And even if you're the traitor, right, you might want a good artifact to be won by the group so you can take it later potentially.
Well, once they take it, it's in their victory pile.
Okay.
But you can help show off that you're totally a good guy.
Right. Well, yeah, that's always the strategy. So that sounds really cool. It sounds like for Warehouse 13, they did it justice.
No, they absolutely did. I would definitely want to play again. And not only that, the fact that there's now, I would say, a vacuum, because Battlestar's gone. It's definitely worth checking out. If you wanted to try or really like Battlestar, this is perfect because it's also a bit lighter, so it's not going to take the 3 hours and all hating each other afterwards.
That's a plus.
The dice are perfect. It's just enough luck to make things like, oh, how can I do it? But enough manipulation. Like, I really liked it because my character was all about that. So it really helped in your favor. You don't feel like, well, it's just the dice that...
Got it.
Yeah.
So Warehouse 13, the board game. Any idea about release?
Actually, they need to hear word from whoever owns the show, and hopefully by this week on Kickstarter. I think MSRP. They think they said around 50, but check it out. So I'm really excited, and it looks really awesome.
Thanks for watching. For more Gen Con coverage, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Roll4Crit.
And to keep up to date, you can check out roll4crit.com/GenCon 2017 in order to get the latest, greatest news on Gen Con from Roll4Crit.